Hi, I'm Bertha. I'm 64 years old and I am here today to just walk you through my stroke story.
Hi, I'm Tammy and I'm Bertha's bestest friend, and I was there with her through every step of her stroke journey, and I'm here to tell you my side of the story.
More than I do. Oh,
George!
now, the louder it beeps,
so
the closer you're getting to metal. Now, when it beeps like crazy, bingo!
You have just made a monkey very happy.
If you want a car
I need a
from a
chicken
company
burger.
that's been building
You know
them
what,
for
Bertha? Get me
115
one too.
years,
Okay.
can afford. If you want a car with
Bertha, are you okay?
technology,
I don't know what's
Bertha!
happening.
you want ways
Tammy!
of-
Bertha! Bertha, no! Bertha, oh no, your face is drooping. Can you move your arms?
I can't move my arms.
Oh no, you're slurring your words too.
Tammy!
Time to call
Tammy, call 911.
911? Yeah, my friend Bertha here is experiencing the symptoms of stroke. Yeah, I just performed the FAST method. Okay, my address is 1234 Get Here Quick Avenue. Okay, I'll see you soon.
So I was just trying to get my daily dose of Cheetos, my daily dose of cigar, and my daily dose of Curious George. And my buddy and I both wanted a chicken burger. So I got up to go get us chicken burgers and I felt my face drooping. But what did I do? I ignored it and kept walking. My legs started trembling on my left side and it was not good. I could tell something was up. I called my buddy Tammy over and she was freaking out. It was crazy, man.
I knew to perform the FAST method because one day when I was driving down the street, there was an ambulance in front of me and it stated the steps to take when you're having a stroke. So I just knew it had to be done as soon as possible.
Once I realized I was on the ground, I just knew it was bad. So Tammy called 911 and I was off to the hospital.
On the way to the hospital, the paramedics couldn't do very much since they didn't know the type of stroke Bertha was having. They just tried to manage her symptoms the best they could. They gave her oxygen due to some breathing difficulties while rushing her to the hospital as fast as possible.
When me and Bertha first got to the hospital, the doctor asked me a series of questions regarding Bertha and her previous medical history, because Bertha was obviously non-responsive at the time. They asked me what symptoms she was having, so I told them she had a droopy face, she could not move her arms, and pretty much not her legs. She was just laying on the ground, couldn't do much, and she was slurring her words. So that's when I knew I had to call 911. The doctor then asked if Bertha had any previous operations or medical problems, and I told them that she didn't have any operations, but she did have high cholesterol, diabetes, and every now and then she would get some mini strokes, but obviously Bertha didn't think too much of them because she kept eating those Cheetos and smoking, watching TV. Lastly, the doctor asked me if there was a history of medical conditions in Bertha's family, and I did recall Bertha telling me that her great-aunt Katrina had a stroke when she was about 6 to 8 years old.
When I first got to the doctor, I got referred to a CT scan.
We have a stroke in the ER. I repeat, a stroke in the ER. Stroke coming through. 64-year-old female, Bertha, experiencing symptoms of a stroke. Get her a CT stat. The results of the CT came in. Bertha had an ischemic thrombotic stroke. Administer TPA because the time of the stroke was known by her witness Tammy. Check for effectiveness, and if not, resort to the transluminal angioplasty surgery.
They told me that I didn't have a hemorrhagic stroke because a hemorrhagic stroke is when the blood vessel breaks and blood leaks to the brain. But in my case, it was just clogged, probably from the Cheetos, the smoking, the not exercising. We don't know. They ruled out an embolic stroke, which is when the clot forms somewhere else in the body and travels through the blood vessels to the brain. But this was not the case for me. They told me I had an ischemic thrombotic stroke. The ischemic strokes are caused by interruption of the blood supply to the brain, and it was thrombotic because that blood clot was formed in an artery and it supplied blood to the brain. The next step was blood tests and an ECG, which is the electrocardiogram. And this checks the heart's electrical activity and can help determine whether the stroke was caused by the heart problems.
Hi, my name is Dr. Martins, and I am the surgeon that performed Bertha's transluminal angioplasty. We chose the TPA, which is a blood thinner medication, but it was not effective, so we went to the transluminal angioplasty surgery. Hello, Bertha. I am Dr. Martins, and I'll be performing your transluminal angioplasty today. Okay, so it's time for your anesthesia. So you're just going to count down from 10 and take deep breaths.
Alright.
The surgery performed is a transluminal angioplasty. It removes blood clots using a Mercy retriever in patients experiencing an ischemic stroke. The retriever goes to the artery that is blocked, directly to the site of the problem, and pulls the clot out. The retriever is a tiny corkscrew device that uses a microcatheter inserted through a femoral artery balloon catheter. Once the corkscrew device reaches the clot in the brain, the device penetrates the clot, allowing it to be removed. Under X-ray, catheters maneuvered up the carotid artery in the neck, a guide wire and the microcatheter are deployed through the balloon catheter and then placed just beyond the clot. The physician then deploys the Mercy retriever device to engage and ensnare the clot. Once the clot is captured, the balloon catheter is inflated to temporarily arrest forward flow while the clot is being withdrawn. The clot is pulled into the balloon catheter and completely out of the body. The balloon is then deflated and blood flow is restored.
After I had my transluminal angioplasty surgery, I had some issues, like my speech problem. I had a speech impediment for a short time. I still have a small, but it's not as bad as before. I went to my speech therapy sessions, and I also had trouble moving. My mobility was a little off, but I did my leg exercises every day, and I'm getting way better. And yeah. After all I've been through this whole process, I'm so proud of myself for getting to where I am today, but there's still a lot more that can be done. I need to make some real lifestyle changes and stop eating those Cheetos. I've started running on a treadmill every day, getting that jog in. I've been trying to start eating those crunchy carrots instead of those crunchy Cheetos. It was such a bad habit before, but I've been working really hard to just break it. And sometimes I try to fool myself into thinking that the carrots are actually Cheetos, but they're not. And sometimes I just want some Cheetos. Like, Tammy, give me my Cheetos. No, Tammy, you have to tell me that I can't have Cheetos. It's not good for me. God. So here we have a healthy cardiovascular system. Cardio stands for heart, and it pumps the blood. Vascular stands for blood vessels, and it carries the blood. Deoxygenated blood enters from the superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava, and then blood goes from the right atrium to the anteroventricular tricuspid valve, then through the pulmonary valve to the pulmonary artery, and from the pulmonary artery it goes to the right and left lungs. After the blood goes through the pulmonary arteries to the right and left lungs, it goes through the lungs where gas exchange occurs in the alveoli. It goes back to the pulmonary veins and into the left atrium. Then through the atrioventricular valve, which is the mitral valve, and then from the left ventricle through the aortic valve, and then out the aorta. After the blood goes out the aorta, it is circulated throughout the body.
When an ischemic thrombotic stroke occurs, a blood vessel gets blocked off that supplies blood flow to the brain. There is cholesterol buildup in the arterial wall. The cholesterol deposit breaks open, which causes a blood clot to form on top of it. The blood is blocked off from the brain and results in an ischemic stroke.